and finally, it has come time to talk about the E3 conferences. It's been a while, I know, it's late, it's been a few weeks already, but believe me when I tell you, right as soon as E3 happened, I got so busy with personal stuff, and I'm not going to bore you with the details because it was a lot of stuff. It was a lot of activity. It was a lot of craziness all over the place. But basically, this year I made a couple of videos in which I was not all that excited, but I'm hoping I get proven wrong. I've heard a ton of news already, but I had not gotten to see the conferences. And joining me here is my little Pip Boy, my lunchbox, and this is the Fallout 3 Special Edition, Collector's Edition for the Xbox 360 when I first got Fallout 3. And as you might have guessed it, yes, I'm talking about the Bethesda press conference, the first one that they've ever done ever, and my impressions were just really good. It was a good solid first presentation. I really liked it. Tons upon tons of details for not that many amount of games, but the games that they talked about, they were very interesting. Starting off with Doom, the first person shooter. I've been wanting a new Doom for a very, very long time. I'm a very big fan of first person shooters. So yes, Doom. I've heard of people talking about Doom. I had not seen any of the playthroughs or anything. So watching the conference today was the first time I've ever seen Doom. And to tell you the truth, I didn't get wowed as much as the gameplay is concerned, but it did feel nostalgic, very nostalgic. You know, this shows off the dude wearing his Space Marine helmet, and then all of a sudden, it's like, it's kind of like Doom 3 in a way. Just has except that you can do a lot more things that you could do in some modern FPSs, like double jump and jump on obstacles, like climb on walled structures. The graphics look great. This is definitely running the latest 8 engine. Very basic first-person shooting. You can shoot certain things in the environment to do damage. You've got classic weapons coming back, like the double-barrel shotgun. You get the plasma rifle, which of course runs out of ammo way too quickly. You get stuff like the chainsaw. You get the assault rifle with a zoom on it. Now, as you're going through, first shows you just kind of going through the game a little bit, and it shows you the enemies. Now, the enemies, they have sort of a ring of familiarity to Doom 3's enemies. That they have, some of them shoot lasers, some get close to you in close combat, some are big, some are small, some are easy to kill, others are not. Something that I did notice, and I noticed it twice in the 2 single-player demonstrations, is that you have now, instead of like a scroll, you could change the weapons. Now you have an actual circle selector that shows you all the weapons. The action kind of slows down when you're changing weapons. This is very un-Doom-like because the action never stops. And the action seems like it's filled with it all over throughout this gameplay, but it's an exploit, kind of just like when you're swapping weapons, it's sort of like the action just slows down, like bullet time almost. Now, they interrupted that first gameplay showing and getting a poor Marine's hands ripped off and then smacked by a demon with a jetpack. It looked pretty freaking badass. It goes on to multiplayer, which has a very Quake 3 arena feel to it. I'm getting a sense of like, this is gonna be a very nostalgic experience. It's very fast-paced action, multiplayer, very simplistic. It's not gonna be too complicated. It's gonna have the basic modes. But then they introduce something that's called Doom Snap Map, and this is kind of just following the tradition of stuff that just kind of goes all around throughout the entire Bethesda conference. It's just kind of just like, oh, they love the modding community. Here, it allows you to create maps, mess around with the logics of the game to create your own modes as well. And like, for instance, you could set like certain actions to happen. Like, for instance, there was one that I saw when they grabbed the shield and it spawned a monster. You can set that to happen. And after that showing, they showed the Marine in Hell was taken against the same demons. I mentioned, I know in the notes that it kind of makes the action a little bit easier when you slow down the action as you're swapping weapons. But I noticed the rocket launchers there, the single action shotguns there. But I also noticed that during times, I don't know whether he's swapping weapons on the fly or is he adding some things onto the items themselves, the weapons themselves, and give them like a secondary, different kind of firing mode with it. But in Hell, it definitely shows like the action just non-stop, like demons all over the place. And at the very end, it shows you taking against this just big-ass monster. I'm pretty sure he's from one of the Doom games, I just don't know. And he takes the BFG. And of course, we're left with the speculation of how it looks when it's fired. And what I like is that it's coming out next year, spring 2016. Doom looks pretty good. Though Doom, it kinda is like a more open world version. Not open world, it's like not the corridor Doom 3 that it was, but in ways the monsters at times kinda look a little generic. In Doom 3, the monsters look a little more detailed. Maybe these are monsters that are going to get reshaped later as the months go on before the game gets released. And I hope someone mentions it to them because I want my Doom monsters to, oh, look mean. And next-gen graphics gives the opportunity to give you these demons to look just as most ferocious as they've ever had. Nay, look like Doom monsters, but they could look better. But that's just my opinion. But the game still feels like it's just your run-of-the-mill, it's like Doom, just like Doom in the new generation. No frills. Definitely looks like it could be one of those games that's going to be pretty hard to play. After that, they started talking about something called BethesdaNet. Bethesda.net. I'm sorry to say that I don't know what that is, but it sort of seemed like it's sort of like a platform in which it could bundle everything together for Bethesda. I'm kind of sorry to say that I don't know much of Bethesda.net. I should have just done a bit of research. I apologize. But there might not be any information after that. Maybe there is. I just don't know what Bethesda.net is. But the impression that I got was it was going to be just like a platform that you could play your games out of. Sort of like how Uplay is, or how GOG Galaxy now has its own client. You don't have to use it, but there it is if you wanted. And, well, of course, I'm not saying that this is going to be that. But I hope that if it is, make it so that it interacts with the games as an option. Don't just force it on to your Bethesda lineup just like Ubisoft is doing with Uplay, because when it goes down, that you can't get past that second DRM wall because Uplay is down. You can't play the games even though you own them. Another game they showed was Battlecry from Battlecry Studios, and this one it didn't sell me all that much. It's just this multiplayer game where you've got a couple of classes and then you're taking against other people a la Chivalry. It has a TF2, more realistic, less cartoony, but sort of got that same feel to it as well. Not really all that impressive. I'm just kind of like, wow, you went from Doom to the, I'm glad you're getting rid of this game first. The game after that they're talking about is Dishonored. Dishonored 2. Yes, from Arcane Studios. I feel a little bit bad about the presenters because this is like their first presentation and they're nervous. I mean, I don't know if this is the first time they're presenting, but this is the first Bethesda event. It's very publicized. A lot of people expected this thing to be just huge. So clearly nerves are there, but they show it's a CG, full CG. There's no gameplay footage of it, but it's very awesome because you start hearing the outsider, and then you see this person who it's not Corbo, and you think it's a woman, and then you start seeing things around, like she's going around in different places, and then you start seeing that there's like this new type of infestation. It's not the rat plague, it's sort of like this insect infestation. This is taking over a completely different location. Now, the character's name is Emily. As you see her, there are moments where she summons this this Spider-Man web shooting like thing that's kind of like her blink, but it can get even further. I mean, you see her just transport all the way down. There are moments where she's doing things like setting electric traps for these robotic android clockwork things, because remember, this is all steampunk still. So this character Emily and Corvo are actually both in the game, and according to what the guys at Arcane said, that they're both going to be allowed, both going to be playable, and that's super cool. I really like that. You get options. They say that, like before, each character is going to have their own skills, and you're going to mix and match them up. I don't know whether you're going to be able to just pick whoever to do the same missions. That could add a lot of variety, because that would make each character limited to their skills to be able to go through a specific area. Then you would I played this as Corbo. I wonder how Emily could play when you get through the same level. Would it be easier? Would it be harder? With the skills that Corbo can have and that Emily can have, and vice versa, what each one will do to one another? Who knows? I'm really excited to just kind of know. I've been playing Dishonored. I'm ashamed to say that I haven't beaten it yet, but it's already become one of my favorite games. Definitely. Dishonored is also coming to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. It's getting a definitive edition. It's going to get updated graphics, and of course, it's getting all the DLC, the Dawnwall DLC, the Dawnwall Trials, the Witches one. I don't remember the names, but they're all there. Of course, because they don't have an Elder Scrolls game to talk about, they have to talk about the Elder Scrolls-ish game they do have, and that is Elder Scrolls Online, Tamriel Unlimited. Pretty much all they went and said was there's more stuff coming down the road, and they're added new cities like Orsinium, which is the realm of the orcs. I like the graphics of the game. What I thought was pretty cool was they introduced a strategy card game called the Elder Scrolls Legends. Now, Elder Scrolls Legends, I like card games. I don't play strategic card games. I'm not that good. I'm not good at Magic. I'm not good at Hearthstone. I wasn't that good at Soulforge. But I imagine that if you could play with the concept of making a card game with the lores of the Elder Scrolls, I'm thinking that would be just terrific, because imagining all the lore from Morrowind, all the lore from Oblivion, all the lore from Marina, all the lore Daggerfall, Skyrim, this game would just be great. It'd just be freaking awesome. I would just love to try it. I hope that it comes out pretty soon. I hope that it's available so I can play it here. I will play it on the PC most likely, of course. That's much of a PC gamer nowadays. But, of course, little Pip-Boy. Little Pip-Boy. This is the first time I've actually taken him out of the box. He's going back into the box because I just love him. He's a Voltec Pip-Boy bobblehead. And I just love this lunchbox. I've never had the nerve to take it out of the house, but this is where we get to the star of the show, Fallout 4. And we all knew it was coming. We kind of got spoiled with it with the trailer, but Todd Howard, I hadn't seen that man in ages. And I'm glad to see him again, coming out in his own event, talking about Fallout. He said something about how E3 was the best week in entertainment of the whole year. I'm like, I don't know. I had a pretty exciting week, and I almost forgot E3 altogether. I missed the first day, and I had my friend Jeff tell me, it was like, the days, it started today. It started yesterday. E3 hadn't actually started. This event came out first. According to Todd Howard, the game has been in development since 2009. It's like, right? It's almost like it's been in development right after the third game was done. They were doing Skyrim, so obviously this game did not come out really quickly. New Vegas wasn't done by then. It was done by the Obsidian Entertainment. But what I saw first, Todd Howard just kind of goes through a collage of art, like concept art levels and enemies and characters and dogs and humans and super mutants. They're just kind of the team had been hard at work. And then at the very end, they stop, and the very last one they show is actually where the game begins, where it's a world before the bombs fall. It's in Boston. It's literally 200 years before your adventure officially begins, because the story goes, you are in this world, and then you go into your vault, and boom, 200 years later, you come out. That's all the details that you'll get about the story. That's pretty much it. Todd didn't want to say anything else after that, but what I did like was, I kind of like how everything was presented in the world before the bombs. Everything was very old-timey, but it was still just this dystopian high-tech stuff. You got this, one of the robots, Cogsworth, and you got your baby in your room, and you can customize your character by looking at the it's sort of like a character design where, like, you're looking yourself at the mirror, and then you're deciding your skin tone, you're deciding your hair, facial hair, your hair, your eyes, your nose length. You're not really just like much of the sliders. You're kind of controlling it on your own, which is sort of like a simplified yet much deeper one. You could I'm imagining Anne, just my friend Anne, getting stuck there for hours. She loves customizing characters. You get visited by a vault salesman, and you then, from there, you set up your special, your strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. Woo! And all of them are all over my lunchbox. Strength is a little covered in dust. I gotta clean this thing. Then after that, all of a sudden it mentions that boom. There's also a cool thing that Todd said, that with about 1,000 program names in the game, and you name your character a specific way, Cogsworth will call you that. I think other people in the game will call you that. Sometimes, you know how you can name your character, but nobody ever acknowledges you. Like, for example, you can call Commander Shepard whatever you want, but they'll still call you Commander Shepard in the Mass Effect games. Apparently here, you put a specific name, people might actually start calling you that way. But then all of a sudden, boom, the bombs go up, and you are 200 years into the future, and then boom, you are dumped in, and they show you that you run into a dog. And I'm thinking, dog meat. Get a dog again. Get a dog again. And your dog, you could send it to places to get you items. That is back. It's like that skill that you can actually, like freeze time, and then depending on how your proficiency is with the weapon that you have, it's going to determine where you will hit the character better. And it's more intuitive, apparently, according to what Ott said. Then went into a montage showing Boston in the apocalypse after the balls fall. You leave Vault 111, and then you start seeing the chaos, the mayhem. It's a very detailed world. It's running its most latest engine. You're seeing everything, just like, it looks very nice. And of course, Todd then gives us another thing about the Pip-Boy. Now, the Pip-Boy, for those of you who don't know, it's this device that every vault dweller has, and it's in the game. It shows you your special, it shows you your inventory, it shows you your mission log, shows you your map. But of course, it wouldn't just be normal for Todd to just come on and be like, you know what, it shouldn't be just something in the game. So they're developing an app that's going to be available when the game comes out, which is like your Pip-Boy on your phone. But the Pip-Boy itself, there's a collector's edition that's probably already all sold out, is that you could actually wear this life-size Pip-Boy, and you can hook your smartphone, and you literally have your Pip-Boy, and it interacts with the game. So you literally have a gimmick that he's made into, and his team has made it into something actually functional. And the word he said was like, their gimmick is the best fucking one. That's what he said. But that's okay, because if you don't have the Pip-Boy, you don't need the Pip-Boy thing to hold your phone. It just looks fucking cool. But you have the Pip-Boy app, but of course the Pip-Boy's in the game. You don't need like the second screen, but you know, it's pretty cool. You just like be interacting with the game. Don't know how seamless it'll be. I hope it'll be seamless, but you don't need it. Just a thing just to add it. Started talking a little bit about this game for the tablets and phones. It's called Fallout Shelter, which is already out. It came out on that same day, which basically you make your own vault. You're the overseer, and according to Todd Howard, there was a lot of games that were inspired for him. He mentioned Faster Than Light, he mentioned The Sims, he mentioned a whole bunch of others. They really were embracing ideas from other games. Basically, you can set new weapons, new outfits for your vault dwellers. You set different rooms. You can get them to mate. You're the overseer, so you can name the babies. You can avoid threats like rat roaches, raiders. I'm pretty much thinking super mutants will probably be a big threat. And there is no paywall, according to Todd Howard. You probably will have to buy the game. Basically, don't even need to be online to play it. And it's just a simple game. You don't believe in paywalls, and you can't buy lunch boxes, but it's not something that is mandatory. You just go in and play the game. What a beautiful concept. And I just freaking love Todd Howard throughout this entire thing. He's got so much charisma. He's very likable. He relates to you. He just feels like he had been just wanting to talk about Fallout 4 for so much. And speaking of more Fallout 4, he talks more about Fallout 4. You can build structures now. It's an optional part of the game, but you can basically build your own structures. You could scrap items. You can use them to create settlements now with everything that you're building. You can also provide stuff like generators, and you can hook terminals that you can make other things interact with all of these things. You could set up like a pole where this basically you can tell this cable that you're controlling the turret, and you all of a sudden got a terminal. You can control the turrets, and you can set the turrets to do whatever you want. There's even this cool one that there's this panel where you could actually change the colors, and then they make like a Pip-Boy a la Minecraft, like an 8-bit Pip-Boy looking one, and then they just flow like fire when they open it up. Like your creative possibilities are endless, and I'm not sure this is a mandatory. This is not a mandatory thing. I don't know if in the game it's going to be like an advantage, but having a settlement does in fact open trade routes, and you can have people that come to your town, and you can trade with these traders. You can grow stuff, and you can exchange things. So definitely sounds pretty cool. Talking about building things for your world, you also he explained that all the items, the thousands of items in the game, can all be down converted into pieces that you can use to customize stuff like weapons. There are 50 base weapons, and he said there were about 700 different modifications for these weapons that you can customize on yourself and build like a scope out of the items, add it. Then your this weapon becomes something else. You have a combat armor a la Brotherhood of Steel, and you can customize that as well. You can fly on a jetpack with it. Sort of just turns into like this humongoid titan thing that you're just like this catalyst of death, clearly to take on death claws. And oh my god, it just looked amazing. He ends it with this just combat trailer showing a whole bunch of stuff, the items and all the mayhem, playing classic music as well. It just warms my heart, and I'm I was just like blasting E3, but I figured the Bethesda conference was going to be pretty good. And then they said the game's coming out 11/10/2015, November the 10th. That is just a few months away, and that blows my mind. And it just like the year ends great with a Fallout game. And he then, before he leaves, he tells people he's just very humble, but this other representative from Bethesda Softworks shows these figurines that are for the crowd that attended there, and people at home could win a few. The contest is obviously over because it was around that time. So that's pretty much the end of everything that happened at that conference. And let me tell you something, Bethesda rocked. The fact that E3 didn't even officially begin till the day after, and then all of a sudden they come out and just steal the show before the show happens, just goes to show the momentum it is going first. It's important for someone as good as Bethesda to just give you this morsel of what's coming. But because this isn't actually part of E3, this is part of E3, but E3 hasn't officially begun at that point. The fact that we get a Fallout game before this year, a Dishonored game next year, a Fallout game that, you know, looks pretty decent, but in a Doom game, this is all very, very awesome stuff. And Bethesda comes out rocking it, nailing their first E3 conference or E3 event or whatever they want to call it. And my overall impressions is that I don't think they could have done anything else that would have been more awesome. Battlecry, not that impressed. Doom feels very familiar, and in some ways I almost kind of want them to innovate a little more after that. But you know, it's definitely clear what it wanted to do. They wanted to go back. They wanted to give you a solid first-person shooting experience, kind of have you come to know. It feels like a Doom game. It looks totally different from a Doom game. So, if anything, they're trying to create a Doom game for a new generation. And I hope it feels like a Doom game, not a dumbed down Doom game. I want it to just feel like gruesome and difficult and frustrating and fucking awesome. Dishonored 2, very excited about that. I wish they'd shown more, but obviously they didn't have that much to show. I'm sure next year, if they do another event like this, they'll show off Dishonored. They'll probably show off more Fallout 4 stuff, and who knows? Maybe the announcement of the next Elder Scrolls game. Who knows? Maybe a whole new IP. I mean, I'm hoping for things because Bethesda, they're one of my favorites. And whenever other people like Arcane team up with them, things usually turn out pretty good. Usually, sometimes, most of the time. Well, that's it. Those are my my solid impressions for it, and of course, thank you, Todd, for bringing us Fallout 4 in all of its splendor and all of its glory, not filling your conference with fluff, just giving us more kick-ass reasons. And the reason I'm happy is because, you know, we are fans of this franchise, and Fallout 3 was one of the greatest games ever made, in my opinion. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I think I will play it again, and I even like New Vegas. Not at first, it was broken, but anyway, it grew on me. But Fallout 3 was clearly my favorite of the two, and even after when Skyrim came out, I still like Fallout 3 more. And I mean, Skyrim is amazing too, but I don't know. Something about Fallout just did it for me. The music, the weapons, the world. I'm hoping now that it's in Boston, it's gonna even blow me away even more. It's not so green anymore, so it's very much more colorful now. So I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping the PC version. I'm not been disappointed with Bethesda's versions on the PC, so clearly Bethesda cares about PC gamers. At least from what I've gotten, the impression from the years of the games I've been playing, from the Morrowind, from Fallout 3 to Skyrim, they've all been pretty good games, not just console ports moved to the PC. These are legit PC games, and I'm hoping to get a legit Fallout 4 PC game. So that's it. This is it for now, for real. And The next conference I'm going to be talking about is going to be the Microsoft conference. That one, I've already heard a couple of awesome things on it. So I need to see it from beginning to end to get a good perspective. I'm already writing up 30 minutes, but you know what? You knew these videos are going to be long, so you know what you're getting yourself into. So, just punch it and stay. Stay with me. Thank you so much for watching, and my name is Fico. This was my gaming mind, and war, it never changes.